What's going on, guys? It's Clutch Hoops here, and in this video we're going to be talking about which teams are the best fit for the prospects in the 2020 NBA draft. We usually look at what players fit best with each team, but many times this is different from the landing spots that benefit the players the most. There are many players who are drafted into terrible situations each year who could be in a much better place if they were drafted by a different team. In this video we're going to put the players first and choose the team that each player fits best on. By no means does this mean that the team listed next to the player should select them, but it does mean that if the player was selected by them, then they would be in the best situation. Also, the teams are going to be mostly lottery teams to make it more realistic, and I'm not just saying the top teams in the NBA because they're great at developing players. I hope this makes sense, and if you guys like these types of videos, make sure you leave a like. Now with that out of the way, let's hop right into each of the 2020 NBA draft prospects' best fit. Number 1, Anthony Edwards' best fit is the Atlanta Hawks. The connection between Anthony Edwards and Atlanta is already there as he grew up in Atlanta and went to Georgia University for college. On top of this, the Hawks have a bit of an opening at the starting guard position, and Anthony will immediately come in as the starting shooting guard. Playing next to Trae Young and John Collins, the defensive attention on Anthony Edwards will be minimal, and he will be able to get to the rim easily with the Hawks' floor spacing. Anthony does not need to be the main ball handler to be successful, and showed at Georgia he can still be an effective player next to a ball-dominant point guard. The 6'5", 225-pound guard is in the perfect spot with the Hawks, and he will be able to feast on opposing defenses. Number 2, the best fit for Devin Vassell is the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans have Brandon Ingram, Zion, and Lonzo Ball, but they are lacking one specific thing on the offensive side of the ball, and that one thing is shooting. Lonzo's a questionable shooter, Brandon Ingram is a good shooter, but with Zion at power forward, getting a shooter is a huge need for the Pelicans. Devin Vassell fits this need perfectly, but more importantly, he is put into a position where he will only need to be a 3-and-D player early on in his career to be effective. The Pelicans won't ask for too much from him early on in his career in regards to creating his own shot, which will allow him to progress his offensive game at his own rate. The part of Devin's game that needs the most work is his shot creating ability, and learning from Brandon Ingram, who is a top-tier isolation player, will be perfect. Devin will be on the best possible path to squeeze out all his potential in New Orleans, and he would be in the best situation here. Number 3, the best fit for James Wiseman is the Golden State Warriors. Even though the Warriors are in win now mode, Wiseman would still be in the best situation. Playing next to Clay and Steph, who are 3-point bombers, will allow Wiseman so much space and time to operate in the interior. One of Wiseman's best abilities is his post game, which will flourish in Golden State because in this age of the NBA, defenses would much rather let a center post scorer try and beat them rather than a 3-point shooter. Wiseman will have so many opportunities in the pick and roll game with Steph and learn so much on the defensive side of the ball playing next to Draymond. The Warriors have made relatively average long athletic centers like Kevon Looney and JaVale McGee look incredible, and James Wiseman will benefit greatly from the Warriors center-friendly offense. Number 4, the best fit for Tyrese Halliburton is the Chicago Bulls. With Lauri Markkanen, Zach LaVine, and Otto Porter Jr. all being scorers who are great shooters, Tyrese Halliburton will have a field day creating shots for them. Tyrese isn't going to be a star in the NBA, but he's the type of player who's going to make everyone around him better, and the more talent around him, the better he will be. Tyrese should come in as the starter, as Kobe White could be better off as a 6-man, or he could even play next to Tyrese since he's more of a scorer/shooter than a playmaker. Tyrese will be the leader that this Chicago Bulls team has been looking for at the point guard position, which is the role Tyrese will be best in once he's in the NBA. Number 5, Killian Hayes' best fit is the Detroit Pistons. There are a few good options here, but the Pistons are the best because Killian is still a bit of a project, and the Pistons have all the time in the world to develop him. Killian needs to get stronger, work on his right hand, and improve a couple other small things that will hurt him early on in the NBA. The Pistons are a really bad team and have very little young talent, but they do have all the time, minutes, and staff available for Killian to be developed. With Killian needing about 2 years for him to be his best self, this allows the Pistons to tank a couple more seasons to get more top young talent to surround Killian once he reaches his best self. The timeline fits perfectly for both sides, and Killian will be in the best position to reach his full potential. Number 6, Cole Anthony's best fit would be the New York Knicks. This does not mean that Cole Anthony should be a Knick, but he would be one of the best rookie scorers in the NBA if he joined the Knicks. The Knicks have a huge hole at the point guard position and don't have many true scorers, which is exactly what Cole Anthony brings to the table. Cole Anthony will have all the opportunity in the world to play isolation basketball and operate in the pick and roll. This would be the ideal situation for Cole, and it wouldn't be a surprise surprising to see him scoring 17 to 18 points in his first season if he's drafted by the Knicks. Number 7. Isaac Okoro's best fit is the San Antonio Spurs. Isaac Okoro is a defensive menace who needs to develop his offensive skills to be a great player in the league. The Spurs have taken their fair share of projects, and some of those projects may have ended up in Kawhi Leonard. Okoro will need to learn an offensive game, and there is no better place for a huge project than the San Antonio Spurs and Greg Popovich. The Spurs have a huge hole at small forward, and Okoro can fix that immediately, being a defensive stopper while potentially becoming a slasher on the offensive side of things. Number 8. The best fit for Tyrell Terry is the Philadelphia 76ers. This is the only team in the video who's not in the draft lottery, but the 76ers are the perfect fit for Tyrell Terry. Tyrell does not need to immediately fill the starting point guard position for the 76ers and can sit behind Ben Simmons, Shake Milton, or a different point guard for the first season, and then once he can adjust to the physicality of the NBA, he will be able to take over the starting point guard position. Tyrell is an excellent shooter and playmaker, which will work great in Philadelphia since they operate heavily in the paint. Joel and Ben Simmons will have much more room to operate in the interior with Tyrell on the floor, and the kickout opportunities will be endless for him. Number 9. The best fit for Onyeka Okongwu is the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs have their backcourt for the future locked up and now need their future center. Onyeka fits this perfectly, but more importantly, he will be able to learn from Andre Drummond for a season. They have relatively similar games, and Onyeka can learn to be more of a facilitator and offensive rebounder from Drummond. After Drummond's contract is up, Onyeka will be able to take over the center position, and with Garland and Sexton being recent top picks, Onyeka should have good guard play in the pick and roll for the foreseeable future. Even though this is not the most flashy location, the Cavs make perfect sense for Onyeka and will allow him to expand his offensive game much quicker. Number 10. Tyrese Maxey's best fit is the Sacramento Kings. The Kings need guard talent and will be drooling over the opportunity to take Maxey, but more importantly, Maxey will be able to showcase his playmaking with the Kings. The Kings already are a top defensive team and need more offensive firepower, which is exactly what Maxey brings. Maxey will be able to operate in the pick and roll with Marvin Bagley and more importantly, learn from De'Aaron Fox about basketball IQ. Maxey's biggest struggle coming into the NBA is his basketball IQ, and De'Aaron is one of the smartest players in the NBA, which will be a big help in turning Maxey into a great player. This Kentucky duo will do great things moving forward, and Maxey will be in a great position for future success. Number 11. The best fit for Lamelo Ball is the New York Knicks. Lamelo is a bit of a tricky player because he needs to be the main offensive facilitator to be his best self, which is exactly what he's going to bring to the Knicks. He will have all the opportunities in the world to facilitate for the Knicks and will thrive in the pick and roll game with Mitchell Robinson. On top of this, he is best in the spotlight and will embrace the bright lights of New York City instead of fearing them. Also, LaMelo shows no effort defensively, and with Thibs at the helm, you know he's not going to accept LaMelo's lack of defensive effort. If anyone will change LaMelo's defensive attitude and effort, it will be Thibs, and it will fix one of his two huge question marks. The Knicks need someone like LaMelo to shift their franchise in the right direction, and this is the opportunity that LaMelo needs to reach his full potential. Number 12. Deni Avdija's best fit is the Charlotte Hornets. Even though Deni may not fit best with the Hornets, Deni would thrive with the Hornets roster filled with shooters and very few playmakers. Deni will have all the opportunity in the world with the Hornets to handle the ball and create shots for Devontae Graham, PJ Washington, and Terry Rozier. Deni is a relatively NBA ready player and will have a substantial role early with this team, and playing in a place like Charlotte where there won't be a lot of pressure on him early will make the transition from Greece to the NBA much easier. Number 13. The best fit for Obi Toppin is the Phoenix Suns. In Phoenix, Obi will be surrounded by Devin Booker and Ricky Rubio, which is perfect for his game. Obi is a big man who performs best in the pick and roll game and will thrive with the Suns' offensive playmakers. The Suns have a gaping hole at power forward, and since Obi is a very NBA ready prospect, he will be able to fill that hole immediately. The supporting cast and opportunity is there for Obi, and you really can't ask for much more than that. Number 14. The best fit for Kira Lewis Jr. is the New York Knicks. The Knicks are in need of a point guard, especially one who can score and create their own shot. This is exactly what Kira will give them, as he uses his speed and quickness to get past defenders with ease. The opportunity is there for Kira, as the Knicks don't have a true starting point guard, and Kira's biggest weakness of playmaking will be made up by RJ Barrett. Tell me if you agree with these landing spots, and comment down below which other landing spots would be good for the players in the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, make sure you leave a like. Now with that said, I'm out, and peace!